So in the last video, we just saw how you get around SPSS. Where are things located? How do you sort stuff? All that basic kind of thing. But now what we want to do is actually do some statistics. After all, that's why we opened the program. So let's start as simple as it gets by looking at measures of central tendency and variability. If I want to know the mean, the median, the mode even, what do I do if I want to do this all really quickly? Or even the standard deviation or the variance? So one thing you can do is go to this Analyze menu up here at the top. Almost all the statistics that you'll need are going to be in this menu. So go ahead and click on that. And we're going to go down to Descriptive Statistics. Let's start now with just the Descriptives tab. So we'll bounce between two of them, but let's start with Descriptives. That's the one that would seem to be the most sensible. And if I want to get the mean of the age, central tendency measures of people's age in the study, I'll just click on that. This window here is going to list out all the variables in your study, but we're going to pick just this one. And if I click this arrow, it'll push it over into this other window. This is the window reserved for the variables that you're doing your test on. What are you doing the statistics on? Okay, so now if I go into Options, I can pick what kind of information that I want. Let's go ahead and start with the mean. That's on there by default. Let's keep standard deviation on there since we know what that is. And finally, let's actually click variance just to see how it gives that to you. Minimum, maximum are there by default. Sometimes those are helpful. Let's go ahead and just leave those on. And that all should be good. Click continue here. And then OK here. And you'll notice that a new window pops up. There's kind of always two windows in SPSS, the data file and the output. Now we are in the output window. And it organizes things in a nice little table like this. So for the variable age, we have n equals 50. So we already saw that when we looked at the data set, 50 people. The range is from 45 to 75. And the mean, without having to calculate anything, we now know that the mean is 61.48. Standard deviation then being 6.507. So again, as we know, this signals to us that there are about 68% of people between 61 minus 6.5 and 61 plus 6.5. We can get a better sense of kind of what the distribution of our scores looks like. And then, of course, here is the variance, which is the square of the standard deviation. So here we have the variance of 42.336. All right, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Here are all the things that we would usually want when we're doing descriptives. But we also might be interested in what the median is. And maybe you noticed that the median wasn't an option for us. In fact, if I go back up, you can still access the menu even from the output window. If I go up to Analyze, Descriptives, and Descriptives again, which is where we just were, and I click Options, you can see very clearly there's no median here. There's no mode. How would you possibly get that information? Well, if I X out of this, we can go to one other place that's really helpful, and maybe this is the place to turn to by default. If you go to Descriptive Statistics and then Frequencies, we'll look at that again in the next video, but if we click Frequencies, everything looks pretty much the same. I can take age, I can put it over into our core set of variables, and now if I click on statistics, I have a lot more options available to me. By default, none of them are selected, but I could ask for the mean, the median, the mode, standard deviation, the variance. I can get real crazy here. I can get all sorts of information. If I just click continue, for now I'm going to uncheck this box. Okay, we'll see what that does later, but let's uncheck that for now. Display frequency tables, we don't want that. And we'll just hit OK. So now it's pretty much the same, except instead of horizontal, now it's vertical, but we get the same information. We have 50 people, we know. The mean, there it is again, 61.48. But now we have the median, 63, the mode of 65, and you can see the standard deviation, the variance are exactly the same, but we could just get them all in the same place. So that frequency option is pretty helpful, right? Because it'll give you everything that you might possibly need. But the truth is, most of the time you don't need the mean, or excuse me, you don't need the median or the mode. So you might not make a habit of going to the frequency option, but if you do, you know that you'll have every of these central tendency measures available. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. So if we go up to descriptives and frequencies. Let's add our other key continuous variables, or key scale variables, the before and after blood pressure. And one little trick to make things easier is you don't always have to click on this arrow button. You can just double click, click, and it'll shoot over there just like that. That'll speed things up for you sometimes. And again, let's go to just the statistics. All those options are still there for us, and we can hit continue and OK. So you can see here now, we get this new output where we have all of our age information, but we just added those new variables. So you can see actually the mean was in fact higher before instead of after. So it does look like blood pressure went down after participating in this study, which is pretty neat. But all of the information comes to you automatically, and it's all organized just like this. Okay, so if you ever do need to do this kind of analysis where you're looking for central tendency, for variability, all that kind of stuff, those are the two places to go, under Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and then either frequencies or descriptives. They each have their own little quirks and qualities. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through doing frequency tables and doing a histogram.